Alright, let's pull the mask off of this one. Alright, so you can see where we're going with this. Sunburst, bubbles, fish scales. I want to do one more in this corner here. Alright, so what I want to do, let's paper it off. Check my masking. All the masking looks like it's alright. So let's paper this off again. Our last corner. Again, just going to fold that tape under right there where it crosses over my fresh graphic. Same over here. There is a chance always when you're doing graphics like this is if you, because we're putting on such light coats of paint, sometimes it doesn't bond properly to the substrate, whatever we're trying to paint, and it'll start peeling off. So you do have to be careful not to put it on too thin, too light. Because it might not stick. So there is hazards, there are dangers. Okay, so there are problems that can happen. Just have to know how to deal with them, how to try to avoid them in the first place. Paper's looking a little lumpy there. It's alright. Okay. Let's wipe that off and we get a fresh paper towel. Wipe it down, dry it off, and check your masking at the same time. Let that dry off real quick. So I think what I want to do is, it's a 3D tape design. I've been working on it a little bit. It kind of comes out different every time. So let's see how this one is. And I'll usually use at least 3 different sizes of tape. So 3/4 inch, which is very common, 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch, right? So these are the ones we've already used on the panel. You can see the 3/4 inch right there. And I might even do a little 1.5 inch, right? Just to give it a little bit of variety. So what I want to do, and I do it a little different every time, so I want to see how this way comes out. All right, so let's just start and see where we end up. I'm just going to do a couple of the 1.5 inch, just kind of random. Make sure they're pushed down to okay. And the main thing we're worried about is just the edges. I'm not worried about wrinkles in the middle. I just want to make sure the edges are pushed down. I'm going to grab my 3/4. All right, let's continue here. I was trying to figure something out. I think it'll be all right. Like I say, every time I do it, it's a little bit different, it seems like. So I'm still trying to find what works best. You make it however you want. Like I say, there's no instructions on this. All right, so let's say that's what we got right there. All right, I want to make sure everything's pushed down decent, so we're not spraying underneath the tape. See how this thing comes out. Might be a little challenging. All right, gun set up the same way, small. And basically what I want to do is I want to follow all the tape. And really all I want to do, especially on the big ones, is just follow the edge. Okay, so basically what I'm doing is just getting a little bit of overspray on each side. And again, you got to be patient with this stuff. This one's a little more forgiving than the Sunburst. They don't all have to be exactly the same. And this will get a little bit confusing when we start masking. But basically what we want to do first is just start outlining all the tape. Really look it over to see if you missed any. So if you need to come back and darken anything up. Looking pretty decent. And if you miss one, you can always come back later and fix it. All right, so everything looks like it's covered as far as shading next to the tape. Good. All right. Now we're going to unmask. So starting with the smallest ones, obviously. And I know there's easier ways to do this. Every time I do it, it comes out a little bit different. So we're looking pretty crazy already. So all the tape's off and that's what we're left with. On its own, it looks pretty cool. Not bad. What I want to do though, I was looking for one of these that has a straight edge on it. So I want something with a straight edge. So we're going to come back and we're going to do a little bit more shading to start giving it the depth. Now what we want is all the smallest ones to be furthest down and all the biggest ones to be on very top. Okay, so all the top ones we're going to do first. All right, so we'll take this one first, for instance. So this is on top and then we're crossing over a 3/4. So I want this 3/4 to be underneath, right? So I want this to appear to be on top. So what I want to do is I just want to take this, just more of the stencil. And what I want to do is I want to set it down. Let's see if I can do it over here. And a word of caution when you're using these, your pinky always hits the air and turns it off. So sometimes you got to come back and reposition your air. Make sure you push it down up against the panel, right on the edge. And come in and do a little shade. We're going to come over to the other side here. Do the same thing. We can make it a little bit darker, it looks like. So the biggest one is on top of everything. All right, so we come in and we start doing all the tops. So we're just doing the big ones first. It gets a little tedious. It's not the easiest thing to do, but the results are pretty cool. Start seeing how it's going to come out here. Change my angle a little bit there. Okay, be careful, it's getting a little smeary right there, it's still a little wet. All right, so you can kind of see what it's starting to do. And then you do the next one. The 3/4 is next. Once you've gotten all the big ones, and even with the big ones, you got to figure out which one's going to go over the other one. All right, so something's going to be underneath, something's going to be on top. Fix that a little bit. And then we'll come and start doing the 3/4. And you can always come back and fix things after you, if you forget it or if you miss it, you can always come back. This one's going to be on top here. Then we come in and we go to the next one. The 1/4 inch is next. and you start going through and darkening up any spots you need to darken up. Fix anything you want to fix. Not bad. A couple spots are a little shaky, but overall not bad. It's a little tough to film and get the right angles and paint at the same time. All right. Mainly what you're looking for is everything needs to overlap something else. So you just want to make sure you have the dimensions, the depth coming at you, so that everything has something. You just want it to look like you got a bunch of shadows in there, right? All right, just look it over, see if there's any spots that need any more. Not bad. We're looking decent. And you can make it darker to add a little more depth to some spots if you needed to. Alright, looks decent. A couple of spots overspray, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. I cleaned out a little Scotch Brite maybe. So there's a little bit of a fuzz right there. Clean it off a little bit. Just using a Scotch Brite pad. Alright. So I think I'm happy with that. I think that'll look good underneath some candy. All right. So that's a 3D tape effect. All right. So I think we're pretty good. We can unmask it. Alright, so here's where we're at. So there's 4 corners, bubbles, fish scales, 3D tape, and then a sunburst. Alright? Not bad. So the next thing I want to do is mask off all the outside. I think I'm going to do a little bit of lace in the middle, and then put something over the top of it. Alright, so we'll let that sit for a few minutes. I will come back and mask it and see where we go.